Well, hello, hello. Welcome to Camera News Live. Let me know how everything looks. I know last week I looked like I was sitting in a shadow. Let me know if I'm a little bit too dark this week. So I'm always trying to figure this thing out, always tinkering a little bit. Never have necessarily a permanent setup, but if hopefully everything sounds good, hopefully everything looks good. Today we have some big news about the Canon R5 Mark II, or at least some potential news about that. We're hearing that Canon has some pretty impressive sensors coming to us fairly soon. We also have some big news about the Sony A7C Mark II and the A7C R. So there's a lot of different letters and numbers there. But essentially, we have the price leak there. So I would say that's exciting, but the price to me wasn't as exciting as I would have liked to have heard. Not necessarily shocked by it, but I would have liked to have seen a little bit better than that. Other than that, we're going to be hopefully engaging and talking between everybody. Sometimes people show up live, sometimes people watch it after the fact. If you're here, no matter when the time is, hit that like button. It gets it out to more people. I very much appreciate it. If you are here and you're watching live, be sure to interact. And I enjoy doing this live, and hopefully people show up live so that we can, talk and have a back and forth. While people hopefully while they start to come in, what I like to do is I like to just sometimes I get surprised. I go to the different rumor sites and we just kind of react right off the top before we go into any of the main stories. Because once we go over to the main stories, hopefully other people are actually here watching live. Let me go ahead and see if anybody happens to have started talking. My screen share is working. That's good to know. Um, so nobody's chatting as of yet. Let me know if you're here watching. Let me know how the audio is doing. Actually, I probably should check my own audio. I'm not just watching somebody randomly. Make sure I'm actually live. That would be good to know. All right. So it is live. So I'm not imagining things. Not bad on the delay as well. So sounds like audio sounds good. Working good. Let's hope so. All right. So let me go ahead and go over to the screen here and let's see if we get lucky. So this is Canon Rumors. Let's refresh the screen. This is pretty interesting. I'll talk about that in just a second. It says Canon executive addresses third-party RF mount. That's also interesting. So there was quite a bit of news that came out. This is the main story that we're going to be going over shortly. Let's see here. Let me just scroll down and make sure there's nothing new happening. Atmos announces the new Ninja series of monitor recorders. Huh. I have not heard about this. That's interesting. I want to go look into that. I have a Ninja V, not the V Plus or whatever it came out after. I just never used it, so I can't say that I would use that one either. I mean, not that I never used it. I actually used it on a set one time, or anyways, for a project. But I rarely used it, so not enough for me to buy another one. That's for sure. Patents, Canon RS prosumer lenses. So they need new RS lenses, but nothing that I think. Let's go ahead and check it out. I mean, patents that they release these all the time. So 15 to 70 f4. I don't sound bad. I don't sound like just prosumer, I guess. I was thinking they were saying more consumer. Canon has only done one consistent aperture APS-C lens before, the well-regarded EF 17-55 2.8. This new design would be a very welcome lens for just about any high-end APS-C kit. It is also relatively compact, being the shortest length of around 80 millimeters. The length includes back focus distance. So yeah, this is that's a pretty cool lens. That would be really good for a lot of people. So I'm glad I clicked on it. So yeah, this would be the cheaper version, I guess. But I mean, not bad, because if you're, I get. Let's just check this out. So I didn't even plan on going over this one. And then I see it. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. So this is the length. These are in centimeters, I think. It'd be crazy if it was in inches. Just kidding. All right, so total length. They're not showing me weight, I don't think. But the total length, I mean, it's not too much difference. Focally, so yeah, I don't think, to me, that I would personally go for this one. It sounds like a great lens, and if Canon did this, I would immediately be purchasing an RFS body to go with it. Generally speaking, there's a bit of stretching, aka loss of resolution, on the wider end that Canon seems to be overly fond of doing these days, but is not excessive. It is also relatively compact, being the shortest length of around 80 millimeters, so about the same thing. The length includes the back focus distance. I would expect Canon to be able to make this a bit less expensive than the f4 consistent aperture shown above. So personally, I know having a consistent aperture is great, but you can always step it down to 4 and be consistent. I'd rather have that extra light be available. Unless there's something that I'm missing here, I would think this would be the cheaper lens, or rather the more expensive lens. This would be the lens, all else being the same and not knowing the build quality and anything like that. To me, I would always take the little extra bit of light that you can possibly get on the low end, and but you could always stop it up if you're looking for video and you want to have a consistent aperture. You just go up to f4 and keep it at f4. You still have basically the equivalent of this. Why not take the extra 2.8 that they're willing to give you, at least throughout part of the lens? I don't know. Like I said, I mean, just talking about a little spec sheet here. All right, 1585 2.8 to 5.6. So again, this kind of sounds similar, but this is maybe a little bit different. That sounds a little different. Bit more likely I would purchase over the design just above. This one I would find a bit more likely that I would purchase over the design just above, because the little higher zoom range than the preceding design, as it features a slightly higher zoom ratio of 5 point times zoom. Usually comes with a trade-off in performance. Yeah. So, anyways, if you have like an R7 or what is it, the R10, or no, the R10 is back to I think it was the R8. I'm getting confused on my numbers here. I think no, the R8 is the full frame. So if you have the R7 or the R10 and you're looking for a full, finally for them to maybe be pushing more lenses out, that's good to think about. All right, so let me quickly go over to, I guess we'll go ahead and we'll touch everything on Canon Rumors besides the main story here. So this is kind of interesting. Does Canon have plans to release a retro-style EOS R camera in the future? During the photo and image show in Shanghai earlier this month, Canon representatives did their normal interviews with various publications. As per usual, they were tight-lipped about future products. However, sometimes you can read between the lines, especially when they cannot confirm or deny a product is coming in the future, or at least being worked on. As example, they use the Canon cannot comment on future products and that sort of language months before the launch of the APS-C RF mount. If there's something we can confirm or deny, they can say they can't confirm or deny. If there's nothing to talk about, it's usually not in our plans at this time. One of the interesting bits is the latest round of interviews is regards to a retro style EOS R system camera. Canon has a lot of historic bodies, but do you have any plans of ideas to release a retro camera? In conclusion, I can't say yes or no, but as you say, some consumers are particularly fond of some of the best selling models of the past and their design and appearance. In addition, you can see that our ESR body, whether appearance or operability, has been improved by listening to consumer feedback and requests. We attach great importance to the fact that there's consumer base that wants a retro body, but it's a pity that we do not have more info to tell you. Okay, so basically it sounds like they are going to be releasing that. Now, I saw like a headline, I think it was from Simon, basically saying like, is this like an R5 retro version of it. I don't necessarily foresee that. I think it would be kind of maybe a completely new camera. Um, like they're saying, like I mean, it's possible that they'll do something. I just don't see it being done on the R5, but I could be wrong. I'm not seeing that here. Okay, so would you be interested in that? I personally, I do dig like the retro style. My first camera was a Fujifilm X-T20, and it, of course, I bought the gray and black version of that, so it was awesome. My first interchangeable lens camera that was actually mine, so I definitely enjoyed it. All right, so this is huge if it's about to be happening. We think it's safe to say that one of the most frustrating things about the Canon ESR system is the lack of autofocus third-party lenses from the likes of Sigma and Tamron, along with glaring wide-angle L lenses holes in the lineup. As we all know, the third-party manufacturer makes great value lenses and fill perceived holes in design and price point in Canon's own lineup. Camera Beta recently talked, so let me go ahead and skip ahead. The quote here is, they can't reveal any specific plans for the future. I don't want to read their entire quote, but essentially, in fact, since the launch of the RF system in 2008, we have continuously expanded our lens lineup to the various levels of photography needs to our consumers. Currently have 37 lenses in order to maximize the advantage of the SR system and to better meet needs of the consumer in different fields of photography. Canon will continue to strive to enrich lens lineup. Okay, so I'm trying to find just basically my take was earlier because I did watch a Tony Northrup video about this. A lot of times I'm not trying to read over every story because I'm trying to react to it live. But some of the stories I did hear about, uh, okay, Canon views the third-party licensing and building their own lineup of lenses as separate issues. When manufacturer applies for a license with RF, it seems that Canon treats each application on a case-by-case basis, and there is no rigid guidelines on how to qualify for approval. What are decisions based on? We don't want to guess, but there are likely some quick assumptions to be made. Canon says that they have opened the RF mount for third party through licensing and that they are active conversations with various third party manufacturers, which is good news. Okay, so essentially, this is what I thought it was. I don't really foresee this being really big news at all. In my opinion, I think it's a big deal if and when third-party lenses finally make it to the RF mount, but I don't really think about this as being. I don't think about it as being such a big deal because they're not really saying anything that we haven't heard. Of course, it's kind of opened up, generally speaking, but if they're doing this by case basis, when do they allow when does this licensing process happen? Because lenses aren't just created instantaneously; they're not created in a vacuum. And if you're not opening up the mount, as far as like you're not opening up the mount and giving your technology information, you're just opening up the mount and making people go in and reconstruct what they think your autofocus is and all that kind of stuff. If you had a true open mount like Sony does and some other companies, I think Fujifilm's finally opened up their mount, then you allow camera companies to essentially somewhat cheat off of you have a general they have a general idea. There's not as much secret nature. They don't have to go and completely do a software redesign and all that kind of stuff for the autofocus. So that being said, I do think that with them saying, okay, we're going to license it, there's going to be some companies, of course, Tamron and Sigma in the future will, I'm sure, come to the RF mount. That being said, I can see it really holding back some lenses from ever coming just because I don't know when that licensing process is going to happen or when do they need approval. Is it like they're going to kind of see a hole in Canon's repertoire. And as soon as, Sigma comes in and says, hey, can we license this at this time? They're like, I don't know, but that's a good idea. We see a hole in the market there too. So I don't know. There's nothing really big and new here. It just sounds like a little bit of postponing things. Yeah. Okay. We're going to open it up to third party on a case by case basis. I think that's still going to hold people back rather than just saying, we're opening it up to this particular company and hey, this company can go make whatever. It sounds like they really want to know what the competition is doing before they ever get a chance. All right, so we're getting some people talking here. Let me go ahead and go back to that. Oh, hey, Isotech Images. Hey, Matt just got in. Cool. Where you been? I think we were talking last week or a couple weeks ago. Do you do event photography on the weekends? You said because somebody, I can't remember if it was you. They had hurt their back. I can't remember if that was you talking. I think it was last week. You'd hurt your back and you were in, but usually you do event photography during the weekend. So hopefully this time slot works out where you're done with your event photography and you're ready to go. If you are here and you're watching, jump into the comment section, join the conversation, because sometimes, I lose my train of thought. Sometimes I'm maybe not on point. Maybe I'm reading something wrong and you have a different take, or you maybe have some information that I don't have or some knowledge that I don't have. And it's always good that somebody can fill in the gaps. Uh, oh, no wildlife been out shooting raptors. Oh, uh, I don't know if you're talking about raptor dinosaurs, but I think you mean like raptors, the four wheelers. It did throw me for a second. You're like, I've been shooting raptors, and I was like, raptors? Like, are you talking about like that animal stuff? That's funny. Either way, it's funny. If you're shooting raptors, the four wheelers, that's pretty dope. If you're shooting raptors, the dinosaur, that would still be cool. But I think you're a little late on that one, like 65 million years too late. Anyways, um, at first I always thought you were talking about wildfire. I was like, "Where are you living, man? That sucks." There's some. We're all trying to escape the news cycle, so I'm not going to talk about actual news that's depressing. I'll just talk about camera news that's depressing. But yeah, if you're here and you're watching, you had to hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that like button. It would very much appreciate it. Both cool, but wings, not wheels. Raptors, but wings. Oh wait, are you talking about raptors like hawks? You're saying no wildlife been out shooting raptors. Okay, so you're talking about in response that you do wildlife on the week. Okay. I'm sorry. You went over my head. You're talking about raptors, like the hawks, raptors, right? And they're a hawk that they call raptors. I know that technically, like birds used to be dinosaurs and all that kind of stuff, but there actually is raptors. I believe they're called some form of like a hawk, I believe. Hey, what's up, Jason? Long time no see, man. Long time no talk. Yeah, it's been a while, and I've been so off on my times as far as like I came back. I'm back stateside right now, so I'm still kind of doing it at the same time. Yeah. So good to see you, man. Glad you're catching it from down under. I'm assuming, unless you're traveling. Did you ever even travel? Because you said you were going to possibly make it up to Vietnam. Did you ever go to Vietnam? Sucks I'm not there anymore. So, uh, hopefully I'll be back there, and I don't know, sometime next year. So the Isotech image says, "Yep, maybe in the States you don't use the word raptors, yeah, eagles and stuff." Okay, cool. Yeah. We would use eagles. Generally speaking, we use for like a very specific type of a hawk, um, like bald eagle, obviously. But I mean, yeah, I know. Other than that, we'll just call them like a hawk. We usually don't call them raptors, but I know of them. I appreciate you um you educating me and everybody who's hopefully watching. Jason, so I'm assuming you have the A7C Mark II. How are you liking it? Or the A7R, A7CR? How are you liking those? You want to break your NDA right now? Breaking news. Jason Morris who's absolutely definitely reviewing the A7C right about this time. A7C Mark II. What do you think? The winky smiley face. Anyways, I'm not going to say that's confirmation, but I mean, he's doing it. Anyways, I'm not gonna get him in trouble. But apparently that's a thing that's definitely gonna possibly be happening. That is according to Canon Rumors, but it looks like it looks like they're happening. Now whether it is on the 29th and whether they're going to release both at the same time, which apparently they are, or from what we're hearing as of recently, we shall see. I'm going to go over that in a bit. I'm glad that people are joining live. Sometimes on Saturday nights, it's been hit or miss. People in the States are hitting, watching football about this time, or American football. All right. So do y'all want me to just go ahead and go kind of catch up? Let's go ahead and go keep dropping things in the comments, and oh, there he goes. Oh, okay. All right, let's go ahead. Jason has a request. Keen for the R5 Mark II stacked sensor rumor. Okay, let's go for it. We'll go to that next. How about that? So we have some pretty big news coming to us via Canon Rumors, and this is a CR2, which means that it is not necessarily 100% confirmed, but it definitely means it's a fairly valid rumor, and that is about 3 new stacked sensor cameras coming, all of different megapixel sizes, in the coming year, I guess, or within a short time frame. There's supposed to be 3 new stacked sensors, and I'm pretty sure on what 2 of them are, but well, one is anybody's guess. Let me go over here and share to. All right, so here we are. The Canon R5 Mark II, 3 new stacked sensors coming from Canon Rumors, or from Canon. The EOS R3 was the first camera produced by Canon to come with a Canon manufactured stacked image sensor. This was a much needed advancement from Canon to keep up with the Sony industry leading image sensor. We've been told that Canon will be announcing 3 new camera bodies, all with different resolution stacked image sensors. We assume that this would be the Canon EOS R1, ding, 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 everybody knows that, and the Canon EOS R5 Mark II. I would be stunned if they're announcing 3 and that's not one of them. I would have no idea. But the third one is an unknown at this time. See, I think right here, I'll continue reading, but I think that the third one would be an R5S, which would be like a high resolution R5. It's so confusing because their high resolution cameras come with an S, and they're and the other was a C. So yeah, anyways, the S in the Sony system is usually like the high sensitivity, but I think the S is for I think I'm pretty positive the S, because you had like a D5, D5S. I'm pretty sure that camera is coming because we've been getting rumors that the R5 Mark II is going to be 60 megapixels or somewhere in that range. It doesn't make sense for me that an R5 Mark II would be 60 megapixels, because to me that means you're going to have to downsample stuff. If you want something that's going to be a higher megapixel camera, I think that would be like an R5S, and that would be what would compete with, say, the Sony A7 R5, and I could foresee that being the third stack sensor. I'm gonna, bet as of now that that's what it would be, and I think the R5 will maybe have a stack sensor, but it'll stick around 45 megapixels, and I'd say it'd be around 45 megapixels if they're not going higher than 60. But if they're going much higher than 60, like there's been a rumored 80 megapixel sensor for a long time. So if they're going to go like an 80 megapixel sensor, or an 84, I think was one of the rumors a long time ago, I think that they could have like a stacked 80 megapixel sensor be like the Canon R5S, and then maybe you get a slight bump to like a 50 megapixels for the R5 Mark II. But it'd be awesome if it is a stacked sensor. That's impressive. That means they're going down the Nikon Z9 or yeah, like the Z9, Z8 kind of roadmap, even though I don't think the R1 and the R5 are getting, like they say here, it's going to be 3 different resolutions. So they're actually saying 3 different sensors. So it's not going to have the same sensor as like the Z9 has as the Z8. But the fact that the Z8 came out with a camera that's, or Nikon with the Z8 was basically in that same price range with the stack sensor. It sounds like it kind of put Canon on notice, or it's probably been being developed for a while. But I'm glad it seems like the bar has been stepped up, and hopefully more cameras will be coming out with stack sensors. Because for a long time, Sony came out with their stack sensor, like the A9. I think it was in 2016, and that was the only. I think that was like the only one for a while. And then you had the A9 Mark II that was a stack sensor, and then that was like the only one forever. And you pretty much had that same sensor that was stacked. And I think the next one that broke it was the A1. Now I'm talking about full frame, because I think there was in like one of the PowerShot, the RX cameras, there might have been like a 1 inch or whatever it's called. There were some stacked sensors along the way, but as far as full frame goes, that was like the only stuff that Sony was releasing or it was only at the super high end. It was only from Sony. And then finally you had the R3 and the Z9 come out with their own stack sensors, which I think the Z9 is a Sony sensor, but anyways, it's not, it's designed by them. Okay, apparently this information appeared in the presentation PowerPoint slide, but no corresponding models went with the information. The running thought is that Canon has been working diligently to increase sensor readout speed to eliminate the side effects of rolling shutter with electronic shutters for video production. There's no way the professional sports shooters would use an electronic shutter with any sort of rolling shutter present. If Canon does decide to move on from the mechanical shutters like the Nikon has done with the Z8 and Z9, as things stand, there's no reliable timelines of when we can expect the EOS R series camera from Canon, and nothing pointing to any before Q4 2023 announcements. This can obviously change, but for the moment, it looks like the first half of 2024 will be busy with new camera bodies coming from Canon. So there you have it. That is the news. That's a big story coming out of Canon. I think it's going to be impressive if the R5 Mark II comes out with a stack sensor, and hopefully that puts Sony back on notice, because Sony so far has just been offering that to the very, very high end cameras. If the R5 comes out, similar price range that it was before, $38.99, or if they bump up to $39.99. It's a stack sensor as well, then I think that needs to push Sony even further. But I'll be interested to see what happens. But drop in the comment section below and give me your thoughts. What do you think about this rumor? Do you believe this is even true, or do you think this is, a false positive on a CR2? Or do you think that, and also, what do you think is this mysterious third camera that would have a stack sensor? Are you with me that it's probably an R5S? Or do you think this is maybe even further in the future? They're saying that the third one would maybe be like an R6 Mark III or something like that. But I don't see it having any time soon being an update. So I would think the next one would be the R5S or something of that nature. But drop in the comment section below and let me know. All right. All right. So sorry, I wanted to get things going. Rick, what's up? Hey, man. He said, hey, Matt. Hey, all. What's going on? Chad, hello, Jason and Matt, the two guys I've learned the most from in the same live stream. Just want to say thanks again to both of you for helping me on my camera journey / YouTube journey. What's up, man? I appreciate you saying that. I'm surprised I've taught anybody anything, but I appreciate it. I know Jason is pretty incredible at his knowledge. I appreciate you saying that. It really does mean a lot. All right. And good luck on the camera YouTube journey, man. I'm sure it's I need to go maybe check out your channel more myself. Your pictures legit. I'm sure you're doing good. You're probably doing better than me. My moving Matt channel has just kind of been like stuck, but it's okay because I'm enjoying building the travel channel, and that's giving me like I'm actually using my cameras more now, and using my learning editing better now. And I enjoy using this camera just to enter or channel to interact with the community. Of course, I would love it to grow, but if I have a community of people that are willing to sit down and watch me live or catch the live stream after, I can't ask for anything more than that. Isotech said R5 has to be stacked sensor as they need to go one up on Nikon to keep up. Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the plan. I think that's the thought process that Canon has. And I think it makes sense. What do y'all think? Assuming that we got quite a few people here watching live. If you're able to, some people, like, I know Jason a lot of times is like working, and he can sometimes interact. He can sometimes not. A lot of times he's working on. He's a madman. Have you ever watched Jason? Like, he's jacked. I think he has his shirt says jacked, I believe. Anyways, he's jacked and he's like super productive. Like, I've tried to learn from him, but it hasn't worked yet. Anyways, but yeah. So a lot of times he's working and things like that, and people like just to listen. But if you can interact and you're here live, then yeah, shoot some questions over. But what are your thoughts on this story here? Do you think that it's a big deal that the R5 is going, or R5 Mark II probably is going to be stacked? Everybody knew that the R1 would be, unless it's a global shutter, which I don't foresee that happening right away. But the third camera, what do you think it is? Do y'all agree with me that it's probably like an R5S, like a high megapixel R5, or do you think it's something else completely different? Golden Key, yo, what up, Matt? Been a long time. It has been a long time, and I think a lot of it is just time slots, just figuring out what works the most for the most people. And sometimes you can catch it live, sometimes you can't. That's okay, but I appreciate you being here live. If you are here and you're watching live, hit that thumbs up, gets it out to more people, and we can have an even bigger conversation about cameras. Why not? But yeah, that was the big topic as far as that goes. And there is some other topics about the Sony A7C pricing that we can go over as well. I know that it might be somewhat if for people who haven't like watched live or haven't watched at all, it might be slightly jarring the way I do it, but generally speaking, I'm doing it that way, so at least I have the option later. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, but I have the option later to clip that out and just make it a little shorter, so I kind of like go back and like do an introduction and then an outro. So if you see me do that and it looks a little weird, it's my way of doing things live. so hopefully that doesn't bother anybody. If you're here watching, chat, interact, talk, and you guys interact with each other, and then I'll go back to stories and let them build up, and then we can go back over things. Let me go ahead and I'll do some quick refreshes of like Sony Alpha Rumors, Nikon Rumors, go over some of the interesting stuff that we see, and then we'll go over to the next main story, which is about the the Sony A7C Mark II and the A7CR, which Jason has the scoop on us because I'm guaranteeing he's already reviewing these cameras right now, but he can't say anything except for a winky smiley face, guys. It's confirmation. Broke his NDA. He's out. He's out of the program. Get him out of it. Come on, Sony. Just kidding. Please don't do that. All right. Go back to the screen here. All right, let's go to Sony Alpha Rumors and see. Sometimes let's get lucky. Oh, no. Message to Source, can you send me the video? I will not post it. Okay. Dear Source, can you send me the video of this leak? I promise I will not post it on Sony Alpha Rumors, but I need it as proof that indeed this is the new camera, or just send me screen. What is this? That's interesting. Okay. Message to Source. Okay. I've never seen him do that. Okay. So, Andre, he's I think Andre or Andrea. I think Andrea's actually the name. But so good news. A7C pricing in the US is close to $2,000 and is $24.99 in Europe, or in euros. Or yeah, in Europe, in euros. So that makes sense. So yeah, that's not bad. It's not great, but I think it's kind of expected at this point. What did the A7C come in at? The original A7C? Was it, I think the original A7C was somewhere around 1899, or was it much cheaper than that? Because I guess it had to be cheaper than that because the original A7 III, which it was based upon, or it wasn't the, you know what I'm saying? It was 1999 at the time. Oh, the things went up crazy, but it was 1999 at the time, and so I think it came in. It was about 4 years later. It might have been like 1699. So the fact that this went up, $400, I think it was. I guess I could always, like, teach people or learn myself. So Sony A7C launch price. I'm gonna say it was 15.99 or 15.99. Oh, did he get it? Don't allow. Leave me alone. Price. Oh wow. No, it was $1,800. Um. Okay, I was off. I remember when it got like I was literally in Florida when I was like watching the announcement. So yeah, I was off. I mean I know it was a different body and design and people like that style. But considering that it was 3 years later and you could probably get some deals on the A7 or, 3, like I think the A7 III was a much better camera, functionally a much better camera than the A7C at least. I mean, very similar in specs, but as far as like, what it was able to do for people having the dual card slots and everything. All right, so here are the specs as we know them. U.S. pricing, a couple $100 less than the A7 IV. Has a one SD card slot. So is it not even? Does it not? Jason, you know the answer to this. Does it not have the dual card slots? So is it like, I know it's one card, but does it not have the CF Express? CF Express. Yeah, A and SD card slot. I'm surprised they're not going to have that. I would be surprised if it was just SD card, but maybe it is. Micro HDMI. Ouch, that sucks. Yeah. No overheating issues. So AF is improved over the A7 IV. I mean, so are they going to have that AI chip in it? Essentially, that's what it sounds like. All right, hand grip is not included and will cost 180 extra. So that's different. Interesting. But wow, that is a crazy price over here. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the chat because I don't want to just sit here and see if people are. This is what I'm most interested in. I'm going to go back to the chat before I keep talking. All right. Um. Okay. Golden Key said, "I appreciate your content quality. Glad you're a regular guy and not a cornball type of guy." I'm not even sure I know what a cornball is, but I'm glad I'm a regular guy as well. I think I appreciate the compliment. All right, so he says the Canon R5C versus the R5 Mark II. What should I get? I don't know. I have the R5C right there. They did just do a firmware update on it, and I haven't tested it yet, but apparently it's done quite a bit better. I just haven't had a need for it as a cinema camera. Here's one thought process. If you're in the Canon system and your video first, then I think that the R5 Mark II is, well, you got to wait on it, obviously. So more than likely, you're not going to get it until sometime next year. Even if it's announced later this year, you're not going to get it till, at least the very, very end of this year. Um, Sony Alpha Rumors tends to think, or sorry, Canon Rumors tends to think that it's going to be in the, I think it's like the first half. I think is what they're going for. That's what they say, but I mean, I could see it being the end of this year. I don't think anything's conclusive on that. So you're gonna have to wait on an R5 Mark II. I would say the specs are gonna be better, like overall, but they're gonna have the normal crippling somehow. So yeah, it's if you're gonna be saving for it. The R5C, I think it depends. It needs a few more updates. It's a little janky. I like I said, I have it. Um, it has its quirks about it. I think something that happened with the R5C that I think I'm a little confused about. Um, I like the idea, and the reason I got the R5C is because I'm impatient. But no, I got it a while back ago, and one of the reasons that I got it is just I wanted to learn more about the cinema system, and I wanted more of a cinema style camera. So I was happy to learn and want to learn about that. I really don't use it as much as I thought I would. The autofocus is a problem, but I haven't used it with the new update, which is supposed to make it quite a bit better. I say a problem. The way I'm using it, it's not a problem at all because I'm using it for more like establishing shots and, um, or like, temples and architecture and just landscape stuff. So I like having that super sharp downsampled 4K from the 8K. So it's perfect for what I'm doing it with it, when I'm using it. Um, that being said, like I still use my A7S III more often just because I know the system better. I have more muscle memory with it, and it's a much smaller. And if I'm, especially if I have the Tamron 17-28, and if I'm like vlogging or whatever I'm doing on the travel stuff, then I just I use that more often. And I also love like the low light sensitivity on that because I people think 12,800 is crazy, but there's no noise at 12,800. So a lot of times I'll just I'll just switch between the dual native ISOs. And if I'm going to be in a dark area that I might be going dark and bright, I'll just have like an ND filter on. I'll go up to 2,800, or sorry, 12,800. And then I'll just use the NDs to stop down as needed. But yeah. So sorry, to answer your question is, it's kind of, it depends that if you're wanting to learn more about the cinema stuff, and if you're into like you need the scopes and you want to learn more about what the scopes do, and just you think you're going to be moving further in the Canon system, like maybe eventually you're going to want a C70 or whatever the equivalent is going to be, or maybe you want like a C200 or whatever it's going to be called, the next version of it. Then I think maybe it's worth getting the R5C. But if you think you're more of a hybrid shooter, and maybe, then maybe just wait off on the R5 Mark II. I don't know if those are two thoughts. But I love the look of the R5C. I like the red button. Yeah, anyways. Malcolm Walker says, "Good evening, Matt and everyone else." Yeah, good evening. Nice to see you. I'm glad we're getting a pretty big crew in here. A lot of times live, it's sketch. It's been sketch lately. But I mean, I've been seeing people on the replay. If you're here and you haven't hit that like button, it gets it out to more people. We can have a more robust conversation. Robust, yeah. Chad saying good. Just talking to Malcolm. Good evening. I know it's late, but I'm liking we're getting the energy in here. Maybe I need to do it late like this more often. I keep pushing it up and up just because life. Yeah. So having some back and forth. Do we want to go ahead and talk about the Canon, the C70? Yeah, good turnout live for sure on a channel that, like my size, which I appreciate it, but it's not a huge channel by any means. I'm no Jason. Okay. I'm no Jason Morris. Let's just say that. I don't get like Sony test cameras, and you have it, Jason. We all know it. Everybody knows it. I'm going to see your jacked t-shirt come up here on August 29th, and you're like, "Oh, I love this camera." Sorry, that's a bad impression, but anyways, we're going to hear about that. But it has its quirks. But I've fallen in love. Sorry, no more. I'm done. Apologize to everyone, all of Australia and Americans who can do a better Australian accent. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. Let's go ahead and talk about this A7C R and get your thoughts on that. It's kind of interesting to me that it is actually going to be like releasing similar time, and then we'll go back to the chat and we'll talk some more. So, what do you think of this price point? That's steep. Um, I think that's a little much, but I guess it just depends. I mean, because to me, I think of the R whatever the A7C is being. I guess it's to me less professional to a degree. Like you're getting it for the style, you're getting it for the form factor. You're coming with one card slot, so you might be using it like as a travel camera or something like that, but you're not getting the dual card slots. I know for myself, I'm if I'm traveling and I'm trying to capture stuff that I'm really going to use, or if like I'm getting even content for YouTube or whatever, like if I'm spending a lot of money to be somewhere, I want two card slots, especially with the high frame rates that these things do now. I've never really had big issues as far as I think I have had card mess up, but very very rare has it ever really happened in any major way. But I want two cards. If I'm doing any kind of live event stuff, like I do sometimes, to like shoot for people. But even if I'm taking a travel camera and I'm making like travel content, I'm going to somewhere that I spent a lot of money to be at that I'll maybe will never be at again. I want a functional camera. I like the form factor and I love the look. And if it was the form factor and the look and had two card slots, I would probably be for it. But that's been one of the reasons I've thought about getting the whatever it's called, the Z what is it? What is ZVE 10 or ZVE 1? Whatever that camera was, that's the full frame version, basically the A7S III, but smaller. I liked that camera. Well, first off, I didn't necessarily like the camera for certain reasons. I don't like that they haven't updated the A7S III. That's ridiculous at this point. But I liked the idea of the camera to a degree, and especially as I was traveling more, I was like, I wouldn't mind having a little bit more form factor, and I could save some money and get rid of one of these cameras. But one thing that's really turned me off is that one card slot because I'm traveling places I'm never going to be there again probably, or if I'm there again in the future, it's still going to cost me money. So if I mess up and I don't get it, then you know that's a lot of wasted money because I didn't want an extra card slot. So yeah. But what are your thoughts? Because I mean, to me, the point of that rant was, you're taking this, if you got the A7CR, even though it has, of course, the capabilities of the R5, or sorry, the A7R5. Yeah. Um, I think of it as more prosumer and not, or I guess, I don't know, less pro because you're not going to be using it in certain scenarios. Or at least I think about it that way. Hand grip is included. That's interesting. But it seems expensive for what would be more of a, not a toy, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I think it's cool, but I don't know. Maybe I'm off, and maybe I'm projecting my use case onto everybody, and so I obviously could be completely wrong. I do like the style. I like the look of those bodies, but I just wish they had two card slots. If they had two card slots, I would be for it. I get they're trying to save on space, but two card slots for me at this point is like a necessity. And then I'm going to talk about this some more because that's my lens. That's what I want so bad. I know you got it, Jason. Anyways. Okay, Jason said, I am torn with one card slot thing. I've always personally used only one slot, and now with the Red X, it only has one slot. I just always recommend quality cards. That's interesting. So your experience is just different than mine. I mean, and and Jason like does way bigger productions than I do. So I mean, if you trust the one card, then I guess maybe I'm wrong in my thought process there. I have some decently quality cards, I think. Um, I I don't have a problem, or I have pro grade, like the high end pro grade version with my A7S III, and they've worked perfect. But I got an Angel Bird card, and I thought it was going to be good. I heard some decent reviews out of it, but like I had one of the Angel Bird cards that's in the A7C right now, or sorry, God, there's so many letters and numbers. The R5C, and it's weird because it works and it's worked, but there's like sometimes I'll plug it into my system and it'll literally like I have to like it'll freeze up my computer. I have to start over my computer. So I don't know if it's the card or if it's the reader. I can't exactly know, but yeah. Um, but it's just kind of it's an interesting wonder. Malcolm says one card slot has always worked for me, but I'm still shooting with my A7R II. I have gotten into the habit of offloading cards each day on the hard drives, even with my A7 R Mark II. I'm assuming. I've even with. I don't know why I'm cutting myself off here. Give me a second. Usually my chat's a little different. Okay, let's see. Um, uh, Even with my A7 III, I never used two. Okay, so maybe I'm alone here. I get why you need two in a professional sense, but only time I've felt the need for them. Um, and then Jason says, "Well, the Komodo X only has one slot, so I can't choose with that one." That's yeah, but I think is it a SSD or is it like an Type C card with the red Komodo, or is it Type B? I don't know. Type B, okay. Yeah. So what card are you using with it? Are you on Angelbird, or maybe I just got bad luck on the Angelbird? Like I said, it's technically always got the right stuff. Like it's always like captured it, but I've been extremely nervous because I'll get on to like transfer over the files and I won't find them for a second, and then literally I have to like exit out of Finder and everything. And it's only that card that's ever done that. Pro grade, okay. Yeah, ProGrade is quite a bit more expensive. I use ProGrade with my SD cards, but I kind of skipped out or skimped out with the Angelbird card, and I'm kind of regretted it at this point. When I head back to Asia, I probably won't use that card anymore, which is unfortunate because it's not like I can sell it. Hey, this card doesn't exactly work, but it kind of works. Here's your card. Anyways, both with red and all my Sony cameras, I choose Type A Pro Grade or V90 cards. Yeah, I have V90 Pro Grade cards. I had some issues with Luxar one time. I had some Luxar cards. Am I saying that right? Luxar. Anyways, I had some problems with those cards. I don't think that they actually like messed up and didn't do it. It was actually it wasn't an issue as far as to say like, oh, the card messed up and I lost data. It was just that even though they were rated high and they were V90s, they weren't like working properly. Like they would have to catch up. They would slow down and they would shut down your camera. So yeah, that didn't work. That didn't work out. I don't know. And maybe it's my OCD because yeah, like maybe I'm just overly cautious about it. But like, for example, some of the stuff I've done, like for like money, is events. It's a dance, like a dance company event. You know, these people work for an entire year to like, come up with their dance choreography, and they've practiced and they're here, and I'm the person that's capturing this moment for them. And if I mess up, my card slot messes up, I mean, they can't redo the event that happens once a year, and I would just feel like terrible. So I just don't even do it. Or if I was shooting somebody's wedding, like I can't even imagine. if something like that was to happen. Now, on the travel, I could probably get away with the one card and not be as stickler, but at the same time, like I'm traveling somewhere that I've spent a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of time and effort to get somewhere, and I got one shot, one opportunity to seize everything I ever wanted. Would I capture it? I don't know. Not if my card slot messes up. Anyways, all right. Jason says, I never use Luxar anymore, had too corrupt, and that was enough for me. Yeah, that's exactly basically what happened to me. Malcolm says, almost all my older Sony SD cards have failed on me. What's funny is I can still read the cards, but can't format them to reuse them. That's interesting. Huh. Well, you're not making me any more confident. You're building my confidence that I need two cards, guys. Uh, but yeah, Jason, like I'm honestly surprised you're with one card. Not the Komodo. I mean, I get Type B is supposed to be better, and you're using pro grade, so I mean, it is what it is on that. Um, but doesn't the Komodo, don't they allow you to do recordings to SSD as well? Because I could foresee, like, if you were using the Komodo X in, I think, like, for example, if somebody's like using it on a set, like an even, like, I know you do a lot of commercial work and stuff, but I'm talking about, like, if you're using it on a set, would you not have like a recorder usually, like a Ninja that would hook up to the Komodo, or does that not function the same way? Because I would just think that you would have a recorder and the card, so that's why they probably don't just have two card slots. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they don't have recorder. But I would also think that they would allow you to record like via USB-C to the SSD. But I don't know. You're obviously doing everything right with your business, Jason. So I'm not trying to like critique it. I'm curious. I'm curious of, like how it would work out. Not with the Komodo X at this point in time. Only record internal red raw unless you have a ProRes through Ninja, which is not the same. Yeah. Okay. So on Red Raw, we're just having a conversation now. I think pretty much all the news is done. I don't think I'm going to go back to news right now because my son's crying and he's probably about to come down here to go to sleep, and I'm going to be like, bye. Anyways, but right now he's good. I think he's not crying anymore. He could be playing, but he's more likely to cry when he's tired. So I heard crying for a second. Anyways, all right. So on Red Raw, what are you editing with? I can't remember. Are you on DaVinci now? Are you Premiere? I think you were Premiere last time I talked to you, but is Red, how does it work well? Like, I don't know. RAW is always a scary thing for me. I have the Canon RAW that I've played around with, but I I don't find much use for it. I'm not good enough. I thought it would be so cool. I was like, I just want RAW because like I've played around with raw images and photos, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna do some creative stuff. Like I'll change the color of something and go black and white, or do something interesting. I thought, and then I got it, and I'm like, nah, I'll just do 10-bit and be lit, just not as good as I should be. Anyways, Premiere Pro still and can use within, which is fine. Okay, that's good. Um, I've somewhat switched over to DaVinci. I'm not all the way there. I'm kind of go back and forth between Final Cut and DaVinci at this point. But I'm still learning. There's always learning. I was Premiere before anything else though, because I tried to go PC and then that didn't work out. Jason says Canon RAW Light is nice with the C70 and R5C. Yeah, I need to use. I think that is what I was using. A Canon RAW Light. Have you had the R5C for a short period of time? You had just had a review unit, I believe. Um, the C70, I was always very interested in that camera. I love the idea of the dual gain ISO. I just hated that it was the E mount. For me, I didn't have E mount lenses, so I didn't really want. I know you could do the little extra thing, but anyways. Also, I wanted the stills capability. To me, the R5C in theory is like the best camera, but it just in practice, it doesn't work the way I would like it to. Do y'all want me to go over any more of the news, or is there any more news to really go over? I'm kind of scrolling. Let me see if I'll get surprised by something. And sometimes we have some pretty big news that drops. So there's some stuff about the ZF. I don't think that's anything particularly interesting for a lot of people. Oh, speaking of things that we'll never use, so Luxar has new CF Express cards. Yeah, definitely not going to use those. I mean, maybe is it Lexar or Luxar? Luxar is the casino. I think it's Lexar. Okay, so there's that. I personally don't care about it. But I mean, I did hear that it's going to have better autofocus, which is good. I think Nikon needs a camera in this price range. I heard somebody say it was like a stack sensor. It's not a stack sensor. There's no way. There's no way they're doing that. I don't believe. I heard something about a stack sensor being that camera. I'm like, no, it ain't. If it is, like, well, go for it, Nikon. That is dope, but that's not a stack sensor. I highly doubt it. All right, let me go ahead and quickly go over to Fuji, just because I like to at least look over and see if I get lucky. Let's see if we get lucky and we can break something together here. Breaking news. Break it after, of course, Fuji Rumors would have broke it. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. A successor about the size of the G. Okay. I wonder if this is going to be the camera that they're saying. Okay, so we already told you that the successor will no longer have an integrated battery grip. The main benefit of the decision is that it will be considerably smaller. In fact, according to trusted sources, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So I'm interested because I remember in a, so coming with new sensor, boosted by the power. So I'm trying to skim this because I'm very interested in what is a possibility. Like Fuji is basically saying, this is a medium format camera for people that don't know. So medium format, for people that don't know, is a larger sensor than a full frame. The con has been, I mean, the pros of it are great, but the con has basically been, especially if you're more video centric, it's just, it's a slower readout because it's a bigger sensor. It's having to read more data. But I did see something. It was like an interview from one of the Fuji executives a while back ago, and they were basically talking about a camera that was going to come, that they were going to kind of try to compete in medium format, but it was going to be more like sports and action wildlife. So it sounded like an A1 medium format camera, or like that version, or like that ranking. And if they can create something that, it's not going to be the A1, but if they can create something that is something that's fairly fast, that's a medium format, that I'm, probably still never going to buy it because it's going to be expensive, but it's super cool. I'm glad Fujifilm's pushing that. All right, let me go ahead and go over to Mirrorless Rumors just to see if we get anything else. First leaked. So ship by 2023 and black, 24 megapixels, 30th. Oh, this is pretty decent specs. I mean, 2000, improved autofocus, of course. Yeah, it's definitely not bad. I like what Nikon's doing. I want a strong Nikon. I want a strong everything as far as that goes. I want every company to have some really strong showings because it pushes them to make better cameras, and we benefit. All right, let me go ahead and go back to the comments, but I think we're not really I hate to stop talking because we're not, we usually don't get all together like this. But I'm sure Jason's working on his review of the A7C II, right? And I'm sure that Or what is it, the A7RC? Is that what you're working on right now, Jason? You just blink twice. I'm just kidding. Well, we can't see you. But I hate to do that because we got like kind of a big group going, but it is kind of getting late, and I know my son is needing to come down here and go to sleep. But I'll maybe we'll try with this time slot again, same time next week, guys. But I think we've went over most of the stories. But if you have any questions, like throw them in right now, or if you have questions for Jason and if he's available to actually answer it, I don't know. But yeah, if you're here watching, I appreciate you watching live. Appreciate you being here. Appreciate all the support. Yeah, it's good stuff. Chad, you're good, brother. Sorry, I don't have more questions. Just good to be a part of it. Good evening, all. Well, appreciate it, Chad. Yeah, I go check out Chad's channel. I need to go check out Chad's channel. That's what I'm gonna do as soon as I get off. I'm gonna go look at your channel, man. But I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate everybody being here. Jason, it's always good to talk to you and learn from you, and just in general, be inspired and hopefully try to get a Jack shirt. I just got a gym membership again, guys. Anyways, all right, I'm going to get off of here for tonight. I appreciate everybody showing up, talking as you could. Yeah, subscribe if you haven't. Like if you liked it. If you didn't, well, just maybe don't unsubscribe. Till next time. Peace.